Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fridays at 5. I'm Karen Taylor of the Color Vowel Chart. Today is our Blue Canoe Success Forum, and we're still letting a few people into the room. So we'll just be starting off casually. This is a recorded session, as most of our viewers watch this after the fact. And we post this on our YouTube channel, both on the Color Vowel YouTube channel, as well as in the Blue Canoe YouTube channel. So you can look for the recording there. I'd like to welcome all of you to the room. Hi. So as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, this is the Blue Canoe Success Forum. We have a special guest with us today, Isabel Campos Centeno, from Costa Rica. And we're going to be highlighting the work that Isabel and I and a number of other people have been doing with teachers in Costa Rica with Blue Canoe. But first, we're going to just do a little bit of an overview of Blue Canoe, and then I'll be introducing Ana Isabel beyond that. So I want to just say hello and thank you for joining us, Ana Isabel.
Thank you, Karen, for the invitation.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you. Since we are just a few people in the room, it'd be great to have some introductions, because I know Ana Isabel was like, who's going to be watching and who's here? So we might as well show ourselves, to be the friendly people we are. And if you could just mention, where you are and whether you're using Blue Canoe, or if you're here just because you're curious, or maybe a touch of what you're doing with Blue Canoe if you are using it. Okay. Hi, Lisa. You were able to join us. You're all the way in New Zealand.
Yes. So, hi, everybody. My name's Lisa, and I'm from New Zealand. I stumbled across the whole Color Vowel community about, less than a year ago, and it was exactly what I was looking for, even though I didn't know I was looking for it until I found it. So I've done some of the courses and I just love them. I have a little language school here in New Zealand. Our borders are closed at the moment, which means we don't have any students, unfortunately, but I've been given the gift of time. So I'm changing our curriculum to reflect the whole Color Vowel approach, which is really exciting. It's given me lots of motivation. I love the Blue Canoe app, but I don't actually have any students to do it with currently. I do online teaching for another company at the moment. And so I'm a little bit restricted with how much time I can sort of spend on that kind of thing. I have a lot of exam students who are very focused on grades for writing and grammar. However, I'm here to find out more about it, and so that I can, as soon as our borders open, wow, we're going to be using that Blue Canoe app like crazy.
Thanks, Lisa. That's great. Hi, Gilson.
Hello, Karen. Hello, everybody. I love Blue Canoe. I met Blue Canoe in a workshop in Diamantina City in Brazil. I'm from Brazil, excuse me. I'm from Brazil, and I use Blue Canoe to learn more about the English conversation, and I could understand it better and learn only after to know Blue Canoe. And day by day I study it, and we Brazilian or Portuguese teachers or English teachers on Brazil can speak English, and when I discovered and I discovered Blue Canoe, I could understand. I thought like this. I can speak English. I really can speak English. And then I started study with it. And day by day, I look for a new word and I put it in Color Vowel Organizer. I do a lot of things with Blue Canoe in my life, like teacher, an English teacher nowadays. I'm so happy to know everyone and Karen Taylor as a owner in this employee, in this business. Yeah.
Thank you, Jason. We're getting more people in the room and I want to welcome them as they join us. We're just doing some brief introductions of ourselves and then we'll be moving into our success forum for today. Maybe we won't go all the way around the room, and I'm going to kind of move into bigger group mode as we have more people. Of everybody here, you can use your electronic hand or you can use your real hand. How many people are currently using Blue Canoe, or at least have it on their phone? Let's go with that. Who has it on their phone? Great. If you don't have it on your phone, you can go as a teacher. If you're watching this and you're a teacher, you can go to bluecanoelearning.com and you can request your free teacher review account. And we'll talk more about what else you can do there to request a free trial for your students as well. So I see, everybody here either has it or will soon. And I see a few people who might not yet have it in the room, and that's fine too. I won't be showing so much about the app today, so much as talking about the challenges of using technology of any kind and implementing it with students who, first, we know they have various language levels themselves, and then they have different technology levels. Have you really thought about that? It's an overlay that kind of creates a matrix, I would say, right? We can have low-level language users who have high-level tech skills. We can imagine that student. And then we can go in the reverse. You could have a student with a high level of English who has very low tech skills, right? And then everything in between. And so the challenges of implementing an app like Color Vowel and Blue Canoe comes hand in hand with knowing what they're going to encounter as challenges, okay? And so to be successful, we have to take not only that into account, but also sort of how people work and how they're motivated. Are there any other stories anybody'd like to lend? I didn't want to cut things off, but are there any other sort of emerging stories? Are you just starting to use Blue Canoe, or are you a longtime user with some students that would like to just do a self-intro?
Well, I just would like, my name's Janine and I'm in Seattle, and I just would like to add to the complexity, Karen, because I'm tutoring a student in Tokyo, and the online element, in addition to the things you just described, makes it really difficult for me. I'm hoping I can learn some new things, but I'm finding that to be very challenging. If I was in the classroom with him, I could fix it in a minute.
That's
but
right.
We have that English barrier, and the technology isn't an issue, but the online piece is hard.
That's exactly right. And I'm so glad you came today, by the way. And I'm going to just mention support at Blue Canoe over in the chat. I'm going to provide an email address, which is support@bluecanoelearning.com. That is the place you and your student more specifically can go for help. And I say the student because even if they don't speak much English, they can write in their language and we go to Google Translate and do our best. So, and then if it's in Japanese, we have Now in the room, thank you Now, who does translations for us and helps us out on the tech side. So my team is always working there in the support desk to help users. Teachers, when you get involved in the middle of a problem, it mostly makes your life more difficult and makes the problem more complex and more difficult to solve. So I'll just say that that's one of the lessons we've learned, is that users, learners have to really identify as the base user and know that they can ask for support, and that the teacher, I equip you with some things, of course, and we know where we can do that over in the pilot program that I'll be introducing you to. Thank you, Janine, for mentioning that. That's so important.
Yeah, I should just clarify. So what I meant by that is it's not really any technical problems with the app. It's just us trying to get, and that's why I'm here to learn more, but trying to get to the place where we're on the same app on our phone. Like when he has today's plan, I don't know what his today's plan is.
Right.
So we can't go through that together.
That's right. So everybody's today's plan is different, right? Because it has to do with how you performed in the first activities, and it's giving you a feed that is your very own. That is true. And I think just teaching online makes it hard. Okay. Does anybody else have any other, I'm sort of collecting the priorities for today. I want to be sure we move right into our key focus, and then we'll move back into those questions after we feature what we've done with the Ministry of Education in Costa Rica. But are there any other priorities for today? Questions like Janine's? Yes, Jeannie.
Yeah, I can't stay very long at all. I need to leave in a few minutes, but I'm heading to Costa Rica in a week and a half. So, and I plan to be there semi-long term. So, maybe I can, somehow, if I can get a link or somehow a connection and get involved with English teachers there. I teach online via Take Lessons in the US, but I'm also interested in, maybe volunteering or getting involved with the local community down there.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I just started using Blue Canoe. I just did my level 1 and just kind of, fumbling through it a little bit with some of my students, but so far so good. They're low level students, and they're really they're starting to find it, helpful, still challenging, but helpful.
Great. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a look. I'd like to get us everybody kind of oriented. Jeannie mentioned that she's already level 1. Just make sure everybody knows, especially those who are watching, that we provide color vowel training, and color vowel is the method that is the underlying structure of Blue Canoe. So it's the only methodical pronunciation app that I know of out there. And it's all built on this method that we've had around and developing for 20 years now, a little over 20 years. So that's been very exciting. And when a teacher is trained, then it's an even more powerful combination, of course. So with no further ado, I'd like to provide a little bit of information here. Just so that when you talk to people, you know a bit of what they need to know, okay? Blue Canoe is a mobile app. It works on phones, okay? It combines artificial intelligence with this proven methodology to provide English learners with the most effective way to improve their spoken English. Okay, a little bit of advertising there, yes, but it is a highly effective way when combined with a teacher who's able to really introduce you to the method. It is compatible with online and remote teaching, face-to-face instruction. Any way that you're teaching will take a certain kind of accommodation, as we were talking about with Janine. Teaching online can be really challenging, so you've got to have strategies ready to go. And I hope to provide you with some of those today. So I'm really happy for your input there. Okay. Blue Canoe is the only effective solution to dramatically improve spoken English. And I just want to say that we've worked to combine the technology that's out there with technology that we've created to have voice recognition with machine learning that really listens to non-native speech and provides that kind of feedback that non-native speakers need. And for that reason, if you are a native speaker who is using Blue Canoe and trying to see if it corrects you, you're going to probably find moments that make you feel quizzical about things. Lisa, for one, I know, if you speak with an accent outside of Northern America, you're definitely going to get feedback that's corrective. But just remember that the app is actually designed for non-native speakers. So if you're a native speaker and you get that corrective feedback, you have to kind of remember that it wasn't made for you, and that the feature that it's fixating on isn't an error in your context of English. So I just kind of mention that every once in a while. All right. Some of our latest organizations that we're working with are listed here on the left, but today's highlight is with the Ministry of Education in Costa Rica. We're really proud to have been partnering for the past 90 days on a specific pilot, but also in the past with color vowel training for their teachers. And so we're going to dive into that. We are used around the world in actually well over 46 countries. We're now up in the 70s. And just to remember what we're really doing, we combine this brain science of the color vowel approach with technology. And then the big piece that we're focused on today is user engagement. That's the term out there for your learners sticking with a program in Blue Canoe. That's what we call engagement. And we try to build that in place with gamification within the app, instructional activities that are worthwhile. We also then stretch out of the app with these free live classes that some of you have been to called Pure English Practice. And I'll provide you with links at the end of the session. But it's also on our website at colorvowel.com under our events. I think it's called under training/training. Okay. And then the other aspect of engagement will be through the educator dashboard. That's so vital. So if you're a teacher who's just starting to or thinking about using Blue Canoe, just know that your use of the dashboard will be vital. And we'll see that with our group in Costa Rica, how we've leveraged that. Okay. So what does success look like? This has been a partnership funded by the U.S. Embassy in San Jose, the Public Affairs Office. One of our wonderful trainers, Sam Parks, who cannot be in attendance today because it's, I don't know, 2 a.m. where she is or something like that. But over on the Ministry of Education side, we have Ana Isabel here in the room with us. So thank you for joining us, Ana Isabel. So great to have you here. I'm wondering if we could take a moment and hear from you. You are the coordinator of, is it primary and secondary schools?
I am coordinating primary schools.
And so that's a lot of teachers who are teaching English and teaching in English. Is that right?
That's right. In primary, we have 3,200 English teachers right now.
And how is it that, how long has it been that you've been involved with the State Department and Color Vowel? That's been about several years.
Yeah, we work with the United States Embassy, you know, in Costa Rica. They are our, I would say, #1 supporters. I have been working as a national English advisor for the Ministry of Education around 10 years as a national advisor, perhaps 12. And I began in 2015 coordinating the curriculum reform that the country has undergone. And so this one is between primary and high school, but currently I am only in charge of primary schools with my partner, Randall, that couldn't be here today. And so the U.S. Embassy has been supporting a lot of projects. One of them is the color vowel chart methodology and webinars. We started 2 years ago with Sam Parks, and we were able to deliver webinars to around 250 teachers in 8 of our educational offices in the country. And also we got in contact as we got deeper into the methodology with the Blue Canoe app last year. But last year, unfortunately, we had the pandemic, which made the Ministry of Public Education to make the decision of shutting down schools. So some of the teachers, you know, had to adjust to the changes. So I think some of them were not really able to implement or to use the Blue Canoe app. I had the chance to see you again also during the TESOL convention, doing your workshop in the Blue Canoe app, and I said, no, we need to find a way, you know, to give follow-up and see ways to use it, because I saw that it's really, really useful in order to improve our English teachers' pronunciation and also to implement the color vowel chart methodology. I have to add that in our new curriculum, we are working in the literacy process so that kids can learn to read and write since first grade using a phonemic awareness development. So teachers really need to be empowered, and they really need to know, you know, first with themselves about how to improve their own English pronunciation, how to produce English sounds accurately. So we thought that, you know, Blue Canoe was our answer in order to reach that goal. So we proposed to the United States Embassy the project with the support of Sam Parks at that moment, and also with you, and they approved it. Now I want to go deep into the phases of the project. The purpose of the project is aimed basically to enhance English teachers' capabilities to teach our young learners, to teach our children English. Our target population is between 7 to 12 years old, and also to raise their awareness and also their understanding of the color vowel chart methodology. Besides that, to enhance their confidence as English language educators. Mm-hmm. And besides that, we decided this year to open up an invitation to teachers to participate in the pilots as volunteers. They had to waive their time because this pilot is carried out in their free time, in teachers' free time. The people who signed up the papers, who said, yes, we want to participate, decided to give 10 minutes per day at least to use the app. They were also willing to take interviews in order to know how they were doing with English. Besides that, they also accepted to participate in webinars, and 3 of them at the end, other set of interviews, and also to provide feedback about the process, how it has been to them. So far, I have to tell you that we started with 21 teachers. That started last September. The first month, we just lost 3 of them due to personal issues. One of them got sick. But with regards to the rest of them, they have been, very committed. Something very important that we created was a community of practice. Sam Parks, that was part of her contribution to the pilot. She says, I think we need to create this community so that teachers, feel that they are not alone in the process, so that they can get immediate support, immediate feedback if they face a problem, a situation. So we created the WhatsApp group. In this WhatsApp group, they also committed to present their daily plan. So their plan that they have for the day or for the week using the app, and we were supporters, in the process. And so since the very beginning, every day they are posting what they are doing. We are sometimes just clapping, telling them a nice word like, go ahead, you can do it, great job. Sometimes they also post questions asking, for clarification, or sometimes that something is not working. One of the things that sometimes they say is that their progress is not recorded, because we are also using something that is called a clip folio. This clip folio tracks their progress, tracks their activity, what they are doing on a daily basis. So we know if they are accomplishing their goals or not. And that is also very helpful, because when that happens, so usually Sam or Karen says, or any of us can say, one of the participants is not reaching the goal. So usually we call them, we talk to them, and they sometimes are having a health situation or a personal problem, but they continue. Something else is that I think has been very, very helpful is that besides the support, they are also receiving feedback and support from their partners. At the beginning of the pilot, it was kind of cold. They were kind of shy, but I think as we were moving on with the pilot and the webinars, we also sent Google Forms to them in order to get feedback, how they were feeling, which things in the app they were finding more useful. I think all that, like make them lower their stress and anxiety. And I think that now they are very open to share, open to ask even deeper questions in terms of understanding English pronunciation. And I think that they are also being able, something that we found very useful is that they are being able to understand better the color vowel chart methodology. They are being able to transfer that into their own classrooms because they begin saying, I am doing now this with my kids. I understand this better. They also are gaining awareness of the sounds which are difficult for them to produce, especially the cup of mustard sound. They say, that one is very hard. Olive sock also is very hard for us, sometimes silver pin. So I think for us, so far, we really are extremely happy. They too, during the webinars, their participation is very, very active. They are able to, to reflect on their own pronunciation. Sometimes it's not 100% accurate, but it doesn't have to be like that. I think they are also understanding that it's a process, that there are differences also in accents. So far, we are extremely happy because we are accomplishing two goals at the same time. Number one, they are becoming more confident in terms of their own English pronunciation. They are becoming more accurate when they are producing the vowels and the sounds of English. They are more confident in the use of the color vowel chart methodology. They are becoming very creative in how to to adapt that into their own classrooms. So, and we were able to keep them. The ones that stayed in September are the ones we have now. And I think they are very eager to continue. And our project is to see if we can expand. We can expand this to other teachers. Something else is that I want to explain to you is that Costa Rica has the goal. We have that goal to see if our country can become, a bilingual country, or having a large number of our population at good speakers of English. Our economy is based mostly on tourism, also in foreign investment, and in the selling of services. So for us, English is a key language to achieve our goals, to sustain our economy, and also to give our children, more opportunities to live in the world as a global citizen. So we are very happy to be part of this project.
Thank you so much for that overview, Ana Isabel. Thank you. I'd like to go ahead and provide some graphics and just other visuals that really reinforce what you've just said, and we can continue really building on that. Lately I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit of what she's referring to when we talk about the goals. With any pilot, and by the way, teachers, I generally call any first use, second use of Blue Canoe a pilot, because if you're not thinking in terms of a pilot, you should be. What is a pilot? It has the idea of some kind of evaluation. And so I'm using SMART goals, which is a really common acronym. If you're not familiar with SMART, that means you have specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-limited goals. And that's a good way to go with any first use of anything, but especially I think technology is a good way to, it's an important way to assess how something works. So in the case of the Costa Rican pilot, as we mentioned, as Ana Isabel mentioned, we have 21 EFL teachers, The task was to complete today's plan daily. So I'll just kind of add that there. So that's 10, maybe 15 minutes a day, depending on whether they want to spend extra time with a question, right? They might come across a word, or they might decide to play another round of a certain game. But if they complete this plan, that's 10 to 15, and they will have finished their goal. When they do finish their goal, these dots that you see here, this is a screen capture from the app, will turn green one at a time. So you don't have to finish them all in one sitting. It could be all in the same day with some pauses. But when you finish all 3 of those activities, and they do change for each person each day, then when you finish all 3, you get your green dot for the day. And then if you go up into the profile, you'll see your entire past 30 days or so, or the current month, and see how you've been doing. Now, in most cases, I recommend, we need to have enough traction, enough exposure for 10 minutes a day to be meaningful. And so what's most realistic would be something like a 5 days per week goal, 5, 6, or 7. Once you dip down to 4, I find people don't allow it to become really present in their daily thoughts. It starts to be kind of the, oh yeah, I better go do that. And then it's easy not to. So rather than trying to aim for an easy goal, make the goal salient and sticky by saying, you know what, this is something you're going to do every day. And 5 is the minimum and 7 is stellar. And then you'll find, that secretly you can say, my goal is an average of 4 days per week for all of my students. But I do recommend aiming higher in general. Okay. And we did have that goal with our group in Costa Rica. Okay. So completing the plan, measurable is because of Clipfolio, the tool that Ana Isabel mentioned is our dashboard. So if you're not familiar with Clipfolio, we offer quite a bit of support for that over in our Teacher Pilot program. That is a free course. It's an open self-paced course over in our Canvas course, and you can access that through our Blue Canoe website under Teachers. Okay. Moving along, various activities there in Blue Canoe. Here's a little bit of that calendar that fills up. You might finish half of your daily plan, or you finish all of it and get a green dot. But the daily plan changes up so that you're, maintained with a little bit of engagement, a little bit of variety, so it doesn't get boring. What that engagement looked like. This is some of the statistics that are generated by Clipfolio. So you can see some group statistics. This is actually a view that only I have as an administrator. So teachers, those of you who have been in Clipfolio, if you're feeling jealous, we will be adding this view for you. So you can kind of keep an eye on your group, but this helps you see that things are going well. Whereas say an unhealthy group might veer straight down with a downward slope, right? And you can see just a natural tapering off just slightly even with this group. And this is actually not a screen capture from the Costa Rican group, but another one. But it's kind of a typical healthy group, let's say, not too much fall off, okay? This data is from our Costa Rica group, and I've just obscured the individuals' names. You can see here's Sam's group, there's the SA. And this was just taken from last week. But I thought I'd highlight for you a couple of ways to look at that data. Something that tells me that this group is healthy is if I look at last week's goal met days that you see here. And I'll go ahead and present this so it's a little bit bigger for you. Okay. Good. So if we look at goal met days, that would be that the learner has completed today's plan. Okay. This particular goal met days is all of them compared to all of the days they've touched the app. And we want those two numbers to be pretty close together. If you see, for example, this person has played a total of 112 days, and 77 of those days they completed today's plan. So perhaps on those other days, they completed half of the plan, or they simply had to, leave the app and go do something. But for the most part, you see pretty good numbers here that they open it and they finish their plan. And that's a good thing. You want to see a pretty close correlation between these two. Okay. Another way to look at the data here is look at last week. Now, whenever, depends on what day of the week you check, because our weeks in Clipfolio stop on Sundays. So I think I took this screen capture on a Tuesday. And so we were only part of the way into the week. So I'm not going to worry about the zeros or the ones, because I can see here that last week I have really high engagement here with these folks. You know, a couple people played only 4 days per week last week, but then I went and looked, and the previous week looked really good. So it was just a little temporary dip. But isn't that just some really nice engagements there, right? Okay, so what you see here on the left is, I'll just sort of back up. It's this item right here, these 3 columns. I'm just making it bigger for you to take a look. These numbers can be used in a variety of ways. Essentially, 100 points is approximately 10 minutes of practice. And so you can use either of these formula to decide how you want to leverage this information. Each row is a person. So you could go to the individuals and say, hey, I can see that you played about 100 minutes last week, for example. You can, put that into other numbers, and you can then do math, good old math, divide by 600, I'll give you how many hours that person has played. So this graphic you see here is one example of many that we used in WhatsApp. And Isabel mentioned that we used WhatsApp. We leveraged that heavily. And I'll speak to that in just a moment. But there in WhatsApp, we would post, or Sam mostly would post, these kinds of memes that she made using Canva, which is a very user-friendly tool for teachers, I think, to say, hey, together we played 25 hours this week. And the math was real. She crunched the numbers, and it ended up being, 25.3 or whatever hours. And every week she posted something like this so that she could inspire them to beat their record from the previous week. And so that has been highly successful, and something that we recommend you do with your groups is you can also celebrate the individuals who have played a lot, right? You can do a top 3 celebration. Like these folks here on the left, you can see here somebody, let's see, last week, forget about total points, because some of these, like this person who has 43,000 had started playing with the app before the rest of the group. But we can go with last week's points, and each week have a leaderboard of, we have quite a few people who surpassed 900 points. You could celebrate all of them, or you could just say the top 3. Or the whole group and compare it to the group's last week total. So lots of different ways to decide how you want to celebrate engagement, but find a way, because it does make a difference. We've seen it time and again that when you've got a group that's kind of languishing, when you start posting group points, they all buy into it, especially if you say, beat your record 3 times this week as a group, and we will do an extra fun activity of the kind that we do, and you can decide what that thing is. Okay, so that's just a little bit about that kind of motivation. Praise is super powerful. There are lots of ways to express that. So you can say it in terms of points. That's almost 36 hours of practice. These are real captures from our recent pilot. Okay. Social interaction is absolutely essential to a successful use of tech like this. I think the big challenge is that we're using our phones, and I don't know about you, but think about where you actually use your phone. It's kind of an intimate tool. You use it when you go off to the side and go use it. And so when people, as you mentioned, Isabel, is that they're not using it while they're working. They have to go find their time outside of work typically. We're working with another group, a corporate group, and those employees aren't allowed to have their phones at work. So they're doing, again, on their own time at home. And so they're doing this work on their own, and they're also doing it in a way that's very quiet and by themselves, which is one of the advantages of Blue Canoe, is that there's nobody there to hear them make their mistakes. But they need to be connected over on that social side in order to keep the motivation high. So we're going to balance this very personal, by yourself kind of work with this big group feeling. What kinds of tools can we use? WhatsApp. How many of you have ever used WhatsApp as teachers with your students? Skip's over there, Ana Isabel. WhatsApp, I'm just gonna, it's not that I particularly, love WhatsApp. The thing is that WhatsApp is the tool that's used by most of the world's people as a way to stay connected. And so we want to leverage tools that they already use. Otherwise, we're teaching now 2 new technology tools rather than just one. The one should be itself Blue Canoe. And then the other is, oh, I totally know WhatsApp and I know how to add myself to a group. So we've been using WhatsApp a lot with our groups, and we found that extremely successful, even with low tech literacy users, because WhatsApp is so easy to participate with. Okay. What other kinds of tools could you use though, if it's not WhatsApp? How do you connect your students in general if you work with multiple students in a group? Any thoughts there? You might leverage, let's see here, Zoom, absolutely. Zoom is a good way to go, like right now. So that's that real face-to-face real time, but you also want to have an asynchronous way to stay in touch. So start thinking in that way. Those of you that use some kind of a course management tool like Canvas or Blackboard, those can be good, but I just know from watching various people who are using Blackboard right now that you kind of see students go into Blackboard and then leave it. It's not the thing that they're staying social in. So for genuine social interaction, you want to find, what is that? Is it a chat, an iMessage? Well, that's just Apple users. WhatsApp, again, comes back over and over. So we do need to think about, the best tools we want to be able to use there. Okay. Gilson mentions Google Meet. That might be a good way to go. That's more video, but there's also Google Chat, right? There's also Teams. If you're in a Microsoft situation where everybody has Teams for a given work group, that might work. And then the other tool would be Slack. Slack is used by a lot of work groups. It's pretty easy to use. There are free versions, and so you might want to check that out. But WhatsApp, again, is a tool that people generally know. Okay. And now mentions, is Line another tool that's out there? Great. So we can check that out as well. Good. And so with our particular group, it's been fascinating to watch everybody post pretty much on a daily basis. And Ana Isabel, I don't quite recall with this group, but I don't think they were told that they had to post a screen capture of their screen. It just kind of started, didn't it?
Yes, they started doing it. You're right, but they were not told to do that.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good detail. And something else is that I wanted to add is that they are posting at any time. Sometimes it's 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at night, and they are posting. And if we are awake, we are always, sending some type of praising, for them to encourage them.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to show here. In fact, I kind of stopped out of my slide quickly, but I'll show. I don't want to show everybody WhatsApp live just because it shows a lot of personal information that we don't want to be recording. But here, I've taken a screen capture. It's a very simple screen capture here on the right side. I've blocked out these users' names, but these are individual teachers, users, who have just finished their lessons, and they take a screen capture and they post it. And then here's another teacher who did that. And then down here is and this is just like 30 seconds of exchange. I mean, we have now 3 months of this kind of exchange. It's very, very extensive. But here's Ana Isabel actually wrote this and said, "Good morning, everyone." This is like 6 a.m. Yeah, 6 a.m. "Good morning, everyone. Excellent. You're great achievers. Have a blessed and rewarding week." And then lots of praise. So this is another element of this motivation piece, which is if you are a teacher, you need to praise and be present in that room. It's not enough for the learners to be connected over in some place that you don't spend time in. Okay. If you're working with a corporate group or any kind of a workplace group, their supervisors need to be also involved. So let's take a different lens on our group here with Costa Rica. These are teachers who teach for the Ministry of Education. Sam Parks, who's again not here, but she's a color vowel trainer. She was the success coach for the whole group. So she's there to post success memes and to answer questions about language. And meanwhile, Anna and Randall are here as supervisors as well. Super friendly, no question, but definitely there as supervisors. And so, if you are working with a group that has a supervisor that's taking on Blue Canoe, they have to play a role as well. When they're not in the room, it's just not quite as engaged. And it's part of it is when you work for somebody, you want them to know that you're taking advantage of the tool that they've purchased for you. Okay. So it's sort of hard to appreciate. Imagine this screenshot multiplied by about 1,000. And that's how much has been going on in that particular chat in the last 3 months. And it's all kinds of screen captures that you just have to scroll down and back up. It's amazing how much action has been going on there. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to show you. Yeah. For those, as we start to, get closer to wrapping things up today, I just want to touch on some resources for those who are new to Blue Canoe or have been using it without a lot of support. In the past few months, I've put together the Teacher Pilot Program, which is an opportunity to use Blue Canoe for free for 8 weeks with your students. So it's not just you checking out the app, but it's really finding out how they respond under the best of circumstances. Well, the best of circumstances, what is that? That would include having an opportunity to prepare for that 8-week pilot. And so these are actually the buttons that you'll find in our open course in Canvas. Again, this is a free course that you can register for. It's self-paced. And so you could spend 1 week here in the preparation phase, or maybe it'll be 2 or 3 weeks, because I have some considerations for you to walk through, like what level is Blue Canoe best for? If you're working with professional vocational students, this is for them. If you're working with very low literacy students, Blue Canoe isn't for them, nor is it for your 4-year-old or 5-year-old kids, So the question is, where's the sweet spot? Who can use Blue Canoe and who is it not made for? And that is simply the reality of any app. It has an interface that's made, in this case, for adults and for literate adults. It doesn't have a lot of graphics support for the words or the meanings of the sentences, for example. Okay, so there's a bit about that. There's a bit about the technology in there and some of the other considerations about getting ready. We then have another module on launching your 8-week pilot. So how to request your accounts, how to get your students signed in. And that's what Janine is referring to, I think, right? Janine is just the challenge of getting everyone signed in the way, and doing it with screens, and holding things up to the camera when you're teaching online. And so we do address the need for support there, but I'll come back to your question in just a moment as well. Okay. We then provide information about navigating those 8 weeks, how to really keep engagement up using some of the strategies that I've shared just now, and that Ana Isabel and Randall and Sam have been using with the teachers in Costa Rica. And then how to evaluate what has happened, what went well, what was challenging. Is part of that challenge simply a one-time learning curve kind of thing, or is it sort of a challenge that's going to show up time and again that makes you want to consider? You should be evaluating anything that you use that takes students' time and energy. And so I recommend that, and we give you some strategies for evaluating. And then all along, we provide purchasing options so that you or your school can put together a request. We provide a quote, and we can move forward with an invoice for that. Okay. So that's just a little bit of the support we provide. Again, this is available over on our website at bluecanoelearning.com. There under the teachers section, and it's just a free sign up for the 8-week pilot. Okay. So that's just to finish out what we had to offer there. We're open for questions, either about the specific pilot we've done with our teachers in Costa Rica and the information that Ana Isabel has provided, or our more general questions about using the app with our students. And I want to thank Ana Isabel. Thank you so much for being here today and providing us with a glimpse of this very exciting program. You know,
No, I am glad to be able to share. Unfortunately, not all the other colleagues could be here, Sam and Randall, because I am sure they have a lot to add. And I am very happy to see that all of you are also Blue Canoers, as we are. That makes me happy because I know that we are a broader community.
That's right.
All over the world. That's nice.
And we do plan to come back with, actually, we're going to be inviting our Costa Rican teachers, as well as our other administrators, to come back and really do a highlight of what has been the effect. As you mentioned, Ana Isabel, Sam and I put together a pre-pilot evaluation. I wouldn't, actually, evaluation is not the right word, but interviews, so that we collected everybody's spontaneous speech as well as some scripted speech, so that we can do a pre-post study. So watch for that, everybody. In March, right around March, I should be ready with the others to present findings of that research, meaning what is the effect of 3 months of daily play of Blue Canoe on speech, comprehensibility, and confidence. So that'll be exciting stuff. Okay.
That's right.
Thank you. And so we're open for questions. I'll take a look over in the chat. I see some good connecting going on. But any questions or comments on today's discussion of success? And if not, we can move into our individual needs or interests. We can also come up with questions about your own use. Janine, I want to come back to your question, your pain point. So to be more specific, it's that you teach online, is that right?
Yes.
And trying to get up and running with the app with a student has been difficult, is that correct?
Yeah, so it's probably not the ideal circumstance. He's 14 years old, and he's probably a low intermediate speaker, but I know his father. And so I got his father involved, and he helped him get the app. We had the app on the phone. There was no problem there. But what I found, I guess what I'm looking for are what are some things that people actually do in class together.
Okay.
Something that we did, I found, at the bottom of the app in the browse, where he could do the sentences.
That's right.
So we did some of those. And, I'm also doing a speaking book that we're doing vocabulary. So I thought, our next session, I can have him look those words up in the dictionary, and Blue Canoe's dictionary, and have him maybe guess what color the vowels are, things like that. But I'm just wondering what other people do.
Great. Well, a couple things.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
have you started populating the color vowel organizer with him?
We've done that. Now, is that part of the Blue Canoe app? No.
Well,
No,
it's not inside of it. Thank you for mentioning that, Paul. And that's just a great way to go. The organizer itself is usually a piece of paper or a document. We have a digital version there for our teachers who are, who train with us. And so having him keep track of his words in general and being able to go back and practice is very important. Paul, is that something that you do where?
I've started asking them to do that. And the other is because you can go to hyperlink text and use the dictionary function off of Blue Canoe, then mine are all missionary people. So they can go to the American Campus Crusade. And so if they're working through that, as they encounter words, then they can build their vocabulary, their color vowel vocabulary using it as well.
Yeah, I guess since the emphasis is the Blue Canoe app, and I do use the color vowel too, but I didn't really want to bring that into this discussion. is what are some other things that you can do as a group, since and I mean, I actually like the customization of the today's plan. I think that is very valuable. But what it dawned on me is there's no way he and I can look at that together.
Right. Well, one thing you should know is that we do have a way to look at you can look at all of the lessons in a spreadsheet so that you know what sentences are where. Wouldn't that be nice? So that way you can basically dial up a particular sentence in the lessons and you can work on those together that way. So that's a resource on the Blue Canoe website, and it's open to the public. If you go to, and I will just find that site right now for you.
Now, do you mean that I could pull up his particular plan, or?
Karen, I found that.
Oh, okay. You mean the actual document? It's just so everybody knows, this is the Blue Canoe website. And if you're here at the teacher's link and you come down below, this is where you can sign up, by the way, for the free 8-week pilot. But if you come down slightly, you'll find additional resources. And so what's in Blue Canoe is this overview. Okay.
Okay.
It's quite a few pages because we have a lot of lessons in there, but all of these, and I don't expect you to, read these right now, but look at column sentence 1, that column, all of those sentences are immediately accessible in the phone. So meaning, that the student would have to say, record, and get the feedback on a given sentence before moving to sentence 2. Right. But you have essentially hundreds of mini whiteboards of the first sentence of every lesson waiting for you. So if you say, go to life, social conversations, asking questions. So they go 3 levels in on their phone, and you can all end up with, what do you miss the most about your home country? You can all work on that one sentence together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So no, you won't exactly be able to see what's in his phone at any time, but you can help him navigate, and the others navigate to a particular sentence in that way.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. The dictionary, of course, is a really important resource for in class. So, whatever language activity you're about to design, that you want them to use, especially in speech, if they're going to give a short presentation or a summary sentence, they can check the pronunciation of words, put them in their organizer, and be ready to go with their turn to speak, feeling confident about those words. Any other ideas for in-class use of the app? We know that the app is really, its principal design is to provide learners with practice all of the other hours when they're not with you. But it's fun to be able to bring it in for some value added. So if you have any other ideas, teachers, for ways that you already use the dictionary or other features of Blue Canoe, we'd love to hear from you. Paul mentioned the browser extension. If you're not aware of the browser extension, that is a tiny program that you install right onto either Firefox or Chrome, Safari, whatever browser you use on your desktop. It's not so much for phones. So on your phone, you have the Blue Canoe dictionary, you look up a word, but in your browser extension, you can look up any word that is on the internet. And I'll show you what that looks like briefly as we start to wrap things up. And so this, again, we're back on the page. If I see a word that I'm not sure how to say, like, let's say you're having your students read an article in, maybe they go to Wikipedia and they're going to read, I want Wikipedia, not Wikimedia. Oh, Lord, here we go. Wikipedia. Okay. So let's say they're going to go read the main articles today, today's featured article. And your assignment is, go read a couple of, find an article that's interesting to you, read for 5 minutes, come back to the room and report to us what you read about, and so they're going to do that. Well, if they don't know how to say some of these key words, it'll be hard to report back. And so having, as I do up here, the Blue Canoe, right up here in the right corner, upper right corner, you'll see that I have that little plug in there. And that means that I can come here and I have programmed it. Let's see if it works today, because I'm always playing with the controls about how to get it to call up Blue Canoe. There we go. So there's that word. Is it twined or twinned? Oh, it's twinned. And so I can see
Silver pin, twinned, twinned,
okay.
twinned.
And then there's some translation options that I can come in and decide if I want to see those definitions in English or some other language, by the way. Okay. And Paul, your wonderful hack, I think it was you, if not someone else, is that you can open up a Google Doc and you can type a word. And so essentially you can decide what word you want to look up. So that's also a really nice strategy for this particular plugin. Okay.
Where are the instructions to add that extension?
Sure. If you're on the Blue Canoe website, come down to the bottom.
Yeah.
And there's a link here of get the browser extension.
Okay, great.
And there are your instructions. Okay.
All
And so
right.
students can do this on their own desktops. And now you use these a lot, is that right? I think now was mentioning using the
Yes.
extension. Yeah.
Yeah. So and actually unfortunately our we learn English and mid high school and high school, and but unfortunately our English teacher is not native speakers, and we were taught unfortunately wrong pronunciation a lot. So this is there are a teeny tiny and very very famous words like a book or something like that, but we have to check the pronunciation again. So that's why this is very 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 useful. It's very faster than research something in looking up in a dictionary. So it's very useful actually.
It sounds like that's what they're doing down in Costa Rica in terms of purifying the English instruction. You don't have native speakers, but you're working on getting it closer to American speakers. Sorry, Lisa, because you Brit speakers are a little bit different. But
Well, definitely.
I had one question in terms
Sure.
of the Clipfolio. There's a way to export it to an Excel spreadsheet. It's not pretty, when I highlighted it, but if we're tracking data over time, it would be able to, it would be nice to just highlight 2 or 3 columns, the salient ones that you were showing us to do, and then just export it to a file that we just build on week by week, so we can, plot lines. But
I'll tell you what, right now there are 2 ways to get data from Clipfolio, Paul. One of them is that you can export it as a CSV file.
okay,
And that it would always sound like, oh, that's the right way. So right up here is that little kebab menu. And you can come here and download as a CSV or Excel. That I'll just tell you, the data is not very pretty. And so actually the easiest way is to highlight this way and copy and paste this into an existing, just a blank spreadsheet. And then you can eliminate what you don't want. I
Yeah.
use this strategy all the time. And frankly, I'm much happier with it. Is that how somebody say, yeah?
thanks for pointing those out.
Yeah. Listen, folks, thank you for coming today. I want to thank Ana Isabel again as our guest. So great to have you in the room with us. 80% of the world's teachers are themselves non-native English speaking teachers. And so it's definitely more the rule than the exception. We aim, whether we're native or non-native speakers, to have this common place where we can talk about English and its spoken realm. I want to thank all of you for coming today. Shirley Thompson, I just got to see that you're actually here. My co-author is here in the room. Shirley and I have been dedicated to this for over 20 years now. And we love knowing that we're providing everybody a way to have an equitable place at the table, so that whether you're still learning English, we're all still learning English. And I'm just really thrilled to be able to provide a tool and a methodology that provides us an easy way to talk about it. So thanks so much for being here today, everybody. Please know that you can always reach us with Blue Canoe support questions at support@bluecanoelearning.com. And if you have other questions related to teaching and the method itself, you can reach us at hello@colorval.com or reach us individually. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, have a great week, and we'll be talking again soon. Be well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.